Yeah, both going 2-1. So that's the only team that has been able to knock out 11'8" Bridge so far, and it's not been an easy thing for them to do. Altruist looking to become the second here and avenge their only loss in the tournament. And there is the stringer you were talking about. Where are my Super Chump fans in chat? All two of you. You must be thrilled to pieces to see Super Chumps coming out here. And maybe not super thrilled to see that the gal's already been eliminated. And, well, that hold forward strategy at the start worked out really well in the last match. Altruist ready for it.
Did not pay off right here. Tess is going to start deploying the boys or a little. Hey, you can't be mad. Look at those happy faces on the little balloons. They're so cute. But yeah, you can't deny it. Super Chumps, not a particularly strong special. Not surprising to see it over on something like Splat Zones. It can at least help out with some paint here. But I think what's going to be really important is more than just the paint output, is being able to make sure that we are not feeding into anybody. Octoseal's red, doing a great job of holding areas or buckets are going to excel at. No, I don't need to see you to get the splat on you.
Well, how do you think Altruist feels about losing their first match of the entire weekend? You think they're taking some frustration out right here? They got another reslider ready to go. And the Kraken, really great on the stage. The Chumps don't seem to be really bothering Altruist that much, although they haven't really been an opportunity to use them other than just trying to throw something onto the zone. Is finally 11'8" Bridge able to settle down, and they're going to be able to get set up to create a bit of a lockout. The zone already lowered, the tent being deployed a bit awkwardly there, but you know, Altruist, it's now up to them to break out of their own spawn. See how they respond to that.
Retake's very, very important here, and it looks like it's going all into their favor. A very nice wipeout here. Renzo dropping already, and yeah, get out of there. 11'8" Bridge is not ready to do that retake just yet. Renzo going to be forced to regroup with the rest of the team. The tent shield's going to come out. I would be interested to see how 11'8" Bridge can really use this tent to take spaces and whatnot, or possibly force Altruist to feel like they have to burn resources on that tent shield. And right now, they've got numbers advantage on Altruist. Altruist only has this Zap, who's currently alive. Gibbons is gonna have to give up that space, being forced to be running away. Renzo already peeking that ledge is going to go down. You know, when you've got a Dread being able to reach you from all the way over there, over a ledge, you gotta respect the range that it has.
I saw a little moment there where a suction bomb got thrown in front of a tent shield, and I don't think the Tenebrota players saw it because it was on the other side of the shield, and they went past it and exploded. So that shield kind of working against them in some spots, especially in these kind of tight corridors where they can't just deploy the tent across the entire zone. So right now, Ultra is doing a good job of dealing with everything. And here's the problem with 11'8" Bridge. You can throw everything just to get the zone back, but how are you going to hold on to it long enough? You got a lot of penalty points you got to go through. You got to basically get a KO out of this as well, and you're going to have to do it with the Super Chumps basically by themselves. The little boys, they didn't hold up their end of the bargain. They just sat there and got splatted.
They're just little guys.
Well, a little guy. This is low ink. They need to step up. They need to be big. They need to be big guys. Like
this is
PJ
low
was telling me,
ink,
he's
not
a big guy.
high ink. There's little guys.
It is true. This is not high ink. I guess we could invite whoever wins this one to high ink 4 when we do it 6 years from now.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're doing their darndest. But I'm gonna need more from them. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it does look like the Super Chumps were not helpful here. I think a lot of times they ended up being sent out, and then several members of 11'8" Bridge went down and not really able to take advantage of those because they're not threatening. They're just cute little guys. They put some nice paint down. They do force some attention away from areas. But, you know, a lot of times we're throwing them onto zone to get some paint onto zone. And Altruist already knows, okay, we got to shoot at zone because it's splat zones.
Well, you got really no situation there over the course of that game where 11'8" Bridge could use their specials in some sort of meaningful way offensively. Everything was just, we got to stop the bleeding. Throw stuff at the zone. Let's see if it kind of works there. They had one opportunity where they could start pushing up. I guess they just didn't have specials ready. I would have to go back and see it, because they did have a situation where it's like, okay, we got them essentially wiped out or on a delayed wipeout. We can start backing them up. We can start getting set up in positions that we want to be, get our archer into the right kind of spot to start picking some players off as they funnel back into the zone. And they immediately got wiped out. Like, immediately. And then the game just slowly died out over the course of that. So 11'8" bridge, whatever they were, gosh, I hate, commentators say the word cooking way too much. That's the only time I'm going to use it here. We're going to get to see what they were cooking, because they never got set up in the right position to do that with their specials. But they get the counter pick here. So now we get to see what they're really... Are they going to go back to Rainmaker, Undertow, like they just counterpicked? Or they got something else up their sleeve?
Let's see, and it is back to Rainmaker Undertow.
And they don't. Fair enough. It worked out.
They
got a good strategy here. They got the Kraken. They got the vacuum with the tent shield. Again, no soda. I was critical of that last time because they were going up against a Respawn Punisher E-Leader. But, like, it's not a requirement. It's just like, oh, this so easily counters what you know you're going up against. Maybe this time around, they'll find more. And we didn't see enough crab action to really know, like, how they specifically want to use the crab in this instance. But there's ways they can pop the Rainmaker shield after in the middle of a push with that crab. They can kind of get it along some key catwalk areas and create some passo. Yeah, it's smart counterpick. I mean, we saw the strategy. It works.
Yeah, now we get to see, does it work against Altruist this time? Against Altruist's comp. I forget from earlier matches if Octoseal stayed on Dread for things that were not just splat zones. Dread, of course, we don't have that Reef Cheese anymore, because it's very difficult to do at this point. Really requires a splat bump combined with a Reef Slider. But it's like the main weapon itself just puts down so much paint. I think it also does pretty well on maps like Undertow, anything with a ledge. It can be quite an aggressive force. So I think this is definitely different. We'll have to see what happens.
Game 2. Remember, this is a best of 5, no longer a best of 3. There is still a Dread Ringer. And it is the... Where did it go? Oh, there it is. Double Bucket is what we're seeing here. The Wave Breaker as well coming out. So we're going to see Ink Strikes coming out from Buff Shack, who ultimately gets a trade. So yeah, probably could use a buff right there. Might have got that fight clean at the start.
Tess is actually on the Wellstring this time. I've also seen her play on a lot of the Rainmaker maps for that really quick object shredder damage. It is going to go down really quickly, though. Octoseal doing their best. Stay alive. The rest of Altruist coming in, helping out on that fight. They are painting up that right checkpoint. I don't think they're actually going to go that way, though. They are starting to position for that left. Wintry is managing to get a really crucial pick, but the back's going to come out.
So,
and just like, oh, I can't move forward.
You don't want to get splatted that close to the podium, though. Oh, I mean, I get, like, oh, backing up, I'm going to get splatted. But you're just going to give a free checkpoint here to 11'8" bridge. And that's already gone. And the hammer is going to be just used in a fun way as the as the beacons start getting cleaned up here. But yeah, a little bit of a... I mean, it's your natural instinct when you know you're the only person holding the Rainmaker, as you said, the kick me sign on the back of you, is just to start backing up. But the problem is that checkpoint is just right there. So there's a free clear for 11'8" bridge. Altruist, though, getting a couple of splats here. They do have the Ink Strikes to work with, but they no longer have control of the Rainmaker. Agaric had something to say about that.
Indeed. Tess has very little HP, manages to stay alive, chucks that hammer, doesn't get a whole lot of use out of it, but we've already lost Buffer, and the rest of Altruist is starting to move forward. That Reef is going to come out and does get a pick here. Octoseal doing their best to stay alive, but they're so many bombs being thrown at them. And now with an ink back, that's when you're just like, well, I can't fight that. But Shaq breaks away, makes another break towards that pedestal. Still doesn't get the dunk, though. It's been all in favor of 11'8" Bridge so far.
And now the question comes in for 11'8" Bridge. Are you going to go left? And the answer, of course, should be yes. But, I was about to say, they were getting close to that vacuum. But a nice shutdown by Altruist, getting some splats here. Okay, now you can go to the right. Probably. Actually, no, they might have respawned back in time. Yeah, so go back. I like that. I like that call. Nice, smart adjustment. Let's go back, get some soda. Let's go to the left. The left is potentially free, so they can't shift over there fast enough to get the lead, and that essentially ties it right now. 11'8" Bridge, they got the free checkpoint. They didn't get anything on top of it, so Octasil is able to get the lead, get smacked on top of the head. But, the push isn't over yet either. Trying to stay alive in the tent shield, not going to happen, and here comes the heavy Splatling saying, I'm much better when I don't have the Rainmaker in my hand, and now I can fight you. But Renzo says, well, yeah, but you can't shoot backwards at the same exact time. So 39 remaining, not the most comfortable lead, but still a good lead to have with 1:40 left to go, and you know the exact location you have to defend when they start taking that push around the left side.
Renzo's pick on wind trees was so important earlier to make sure that nobody could jump into that heavy to push that any farther. 11'8" Bridge does need to make a push of their own. Right now, Gibbons is holding this down, making sure that nobody's going to come in here without being checked upon. But it has just been them right now. The rest of Altruist is starting to set up right here. Fortunately, 11'8" Bridge did have to take a little bit of time to set up there, so they couldn't just rush that forward. So now it's going to be key for Altruist to make sure they have a really good defense. The vac is coming out. Doesn't save them with the Reef Slider pop, and it's looking really tough.
Oh, wow.
You know what? I take it back. If they pop this, they get it.
All the defense in the world to shut things down, but once you get wiped out, it's essentially GG. 11'8" Bridge, the 12 remaining. And yeah, you stop the push A, you stop push B, but they have one more trick up their sleeve. They're able to absorb everything thrown at them, and now a huge lead for 11'8" Bridge. And what is your option going to be for Altruist? I think you're kind of just looking at, all right, we're going to game 3, and it's going to be our counter pick here. This might be a long set that they're going to be playing. Unless they can find a way to steal one, and this would be an absolute steal if they could find a way to get the win right here as we go into overtime. Here comes the Reslider early. I think they saw an opportunity with players gathered around. They could probably get a couple of splats. Here comes the Stingray, Splatoon 3 variants of it. Nothing happening right there. The splats and the ink strikes coming out right on top of each other. Is there anywhere to go? There is. It's right into the tent shield because the Kraken was chasing you from behind. 11'8" Bridge punches their way through the defense to take game 2.
Altruist was the one to run into the bridge this time. Knocked down. They'll have another opportunity to get the lead and break out of this tie, but they're gonna have to make sure they pick a map that's gonna suit them.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with that statement. I wouldn't push back on that. Yeah. And again,
I mean, what map it is, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, they're not used to making counter picks in general. I mean, they made a bunch in the last set that they played in that they ultimately lost, but the only thing they can't do is splat zones at this point as we take a look at the highlights. By the way, I don't know, Inkling Productions, IPL, as you guys saw yesterday in the Splat World Series trailer, the backbone of our company is production. That has absolutely nothing to do with me. I'm the, like, if I was doing production here, it would just be me drawing stick figures on a sheet of paper. Shout out to whoever created this replay thing, because this is really cool to see. I know I'm supposed to be talking during this and giving like my analysis on the replay, but I think we just need to stop every now and then and appreciate the fact that like this is actually a thing, because we can see plays like this. First push shut down, reslider into the vacuum. Second push shut down because the slosher was in the perfect position, but all the resources spent push number 3 all the way down the 12. GG.
They knew what they had to do. They saw that win condition. Hacks did not hesitate.
Tower control ship shape. This was their pick in the last set that they played. Makes sense. So now we're seeing everybody's just showing their cards at this point. We have our best stage mode combo we pick, and we're just going to rely on that. All right.
You know what? You pick what works.
You do. And the question is, can they get a win off of that? Okay. Altruist, 11'8" bridge tied at 1 apiece. Oh my gosh, look at that logo for Okay, so we Googled Altruist, and it's like selflessness and like believing in your, and like sacrificing yourself for the betterment of the world, I guess. What is that? What is that cat just staring at us?
That's a sweet, lovely little baby cat. With demon eyes.
No, that is not a sweet face.
Oh, he's a sweet little demon. That's what I say to my 3 cats all the time.
What a sweet little demon you are.
Who could claw my eyes out if they wanted to? Yes, you could.
It could. It looked like it. I mean, you talk about a logo that does not match your team naming at all. But welcome to competitive Splatoon. I guess that fits in here. Finally. We're queuing up into game 3. No changes coming out from Altruist. That is the Tentatek, which unfortunately no longer has Inkjet. Instead, it has the Strikes. And sticking with the Wellstringer, with the Hammer Wellstringer. You mentioned how effective it is against a Rainmaker shield. They're opting to roll with it on tower control.
That will be interesting. I wonder if Tess is hoping to be chucking it at the back line. But you know what? They really don't need to do anything like that yet. Really strong opening from 11'8" bridge. Renzo already setting up, striking that crucial area on the left to make sure to buy some space for this first checkpoint to be cleared. And I do believe 11'8" bridge is now already starting to set up towards where they want to be for the second checkpoint, but lost half the team. So Tess chucking the hammer, not able to get a pick here, at least force them away for a few seconds. Hacks jumped in just to die. And at this point, 11'8" bridge needs to stabilize and play a neutral situation for now.
So here's what I've noticed about 11'8" bridge's openings, which we have seen 6 of now. They just go for it. Like, they just start, they're not building up specials. They're not trying to get, they're just, hey, let's just put some gloves on and go find somebody and start fighting them. And they either get a wipeout in the first 15 seconds, or they lose all their players, and then Tess is just forced to, like, all right, I got to retreat before I get splatted as well. But they're extremely aggressive rolling the dice. The dice seems to work in their favor more often than not, although Altruist is doing a better job of weathering the storm. Both checkpoints falling or both opening checkpoints falling for each team. We essentially got a tie ball game here with 3:30 left to go.
Tied up again, so we've got 1 down on each team. The slider is online for Altruist, as our Strikes. Got specials from both of these buckets, and they don't need to use them just yet. They're doing a really good job of holding this down. That slider is going to come out. Renzo does get taken out, but, you know, you're like, well, yeah, I'm just going to throw a strike at you because you're going to be stuck in some end lags. So you're going to take you out with me.
You may have beat me, but I'm going to destroy the entire base at the same time, Mr. Bond. And that time, actually able to get a fair trade out of that, throwing the smoke bomb down. So this is a unfun situation for everybody involved. It's tower control at ship shape. This is the Rainmaker of tower control stages. And everybody's tied at such a low or a high score, I guess you should say, remaining, that you get the sense that just one busted wipeout just like that could be enough to result in a dub in this situation. Buff Shack opting not to go across the bridge, wants to stay around with the tower. And that buys some time for 11'8" bridge to get set up. Instead, the tent just goes right in like it's the opening of the game, gets shut down. It seems like all 7 players for Altruist jumped on that tent. It was able to clear that out. Can they clear the second checkpoint here? They got a lot of players dancing around the tower. They do. With 2 minutes left to go, plenty of time for 11'8" bridge to get back into this one, but Altruist with a heck of a push to get through to the final checkpoint, 15 remaining.
They've cleared both checkpoints at this point. They're sitting pretty good. So long as they have a really strong defense, they can easily take this game. The pressure's going to be on 11'8" Bridge. They lost a player, but maybe not a terrible exchange. They do have plenty of space to start moving up, taking the space. Tess is going to keep an eye out on that top left area. Hacks looked like they wanted to go that way, but knew they cannot just run straight forward into a heavy. They do not have the range or the resources to deal with that. They are going to opt to go back into the central mid area, and we are we were holding hands with the tent shield, trying to move this tower up. The tent is still alive. Renzo is still alive. Strikes are going to come out. We do have some numbers on the field. They just need to get through this checkpoint and go a little bit further. The slide's going to come out. They're going to take out a few people. That is a wipeout. 11'8" Bridge not able to actually clear that checkpoint just yet.
If they just hold on to those strikes, if they just be a little bit more patient, you got a 2v4 situation. You don't need to throw strikes that early. They throw them on the tower when they're at the checkpoint. 11'8" Bridge is already won. We're already done. But just a little bit trigger happy right there. And now that leaves 11'8" Bridge in a situation to where they have to start pushing up to get these splats. The tent able to get rid of the NZAP. Tesseract now in the right position. But look at the welcoming party being thrown out by Altruist to the players spawning right back in, but they're starting to win the fights. 11'8" Bridge can make this interesting. Here comes some Zuka shots as well. Can their beating specials online to throw down this tower? Here comes the Zipcaster on top of it, but a player jumping onto it from both sides. It's a bar fight onto the tower. The Wellstringer and the Zipcaster trying to stay on, but eventually the soul gets called back to the respawn point, and that gets them off the tower. 11'8" Bridge can't close it out the end. Altruist hangs on and holds serve in game 3.
Oh, I was clenching my teeth for that last push. I was like, oh, this looks really difficult to clear. We don't actually have a whole lot of presence in that bats area on the upper right. Make sure we clear this checkpoint. So even though Tess is holding down that tower, Tess doesn't actually have a whole lot of support in what I think is one of the most important areas to clear that final checkpoint. But, oh, that was a tense one. Huge props to Altruist. They held this down pretty well. 11'8" Bridge was tenacious, and they kept pushing this map really, really hard to try to take back this lead. They kept getting close, but Altruist made sure they were holding on to those resources. And the Reef Slider, I want to say, tower control is absolutely its worst mode. It is so obnoxious, but Octoseal's been doing a great job of keeping an eye on whenever 11'8" Bridge is stacking together in an area that they should not be cuddling or holding hands, and then punishing them with a slide.
I'll give credit to Gibbons on the NZAP for Altruist on those last 2 defensive stops that they were putting out there. They knew they had to jump onto the tower. It's not like the NZAP has a GG special. I mean, you could throw suction bombs at it, but being patient and knowing when to jump on. You jump on there too early, you're just going to get beat up and sit back to spawn. You jump on there too late, the enemy team gets the lead. They knew they waited until the right moment to board the enemy pirate ship and start a fight, and it worked out both times at the very end right there. You know, we're talking about some things 11'8" Bridge could do differently to secure the lead there, but also it comes down to the fact that Altruist just played a little bit better defensively as well, taking advantage of the opportunities being presented to them. I like the discipline being put on display in that game 3 there. Splat zones at Robo Ramen. This is, and once again, if you're Altruist, you got to be expecting they're not going to build up specials at the start. They're just going to come right to our spawn. They're going to take fights immediately. They need to set up a defensive trench right away. Expect for them to come into our base and deal with it then.
That will be what they need to expect going into this. If Altruist has an idea of they're going to run in at us, let's just make sure that we're ready for them and we have an idea of where they're probably going to push us. This could be a really good map for 11'8" Bridge. I assume they picked it. I assume they feel very confident on this. But I don't know. I'm looking at what Altruist has been playing, and I think it could go very well for Altruist as well. But you know, I'm a Robo Ramen Zones #1 fan, or ramen fan in general.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was gonna say, like, ramen, robo, or otherwise. I'm a fan
I
of,
love
for
all
sure.
of these things.
And there is a bit of a difference. We do see the Wellstringer coming out. We saw this stage and mode last time at the beginning of the last match for 11'8" Bridge. And here comes the Swarm with the tint and the brush, opting to not be as aggressive this time around. Instead, they're just trying to turf down the right side of the lower area. So a little bit of a switch. They didn't go in and throw punches. Instead, they were a little bit more passive. They actually built up specials this time around. What a switch. Are they listening to the commentary? Is somebody revealing their strategy to them? They switched it up, and it seems to have worked out. How about that?
I'm gonna start doing that. I'm gonna have Malibu's team manager up, but like, your job is whenever we're on mainstream, you have to listen to a commentary saying, and then if they have a suggestion, you should tell us what it is.
You know, I bet you there are people who do that. But for whatever reason, the switch up doesn't get the lead to 11'8" Bridge. I said they're stuck with the funny number, one of two funny numbers, I guess, that exist now. Is the lead, and additional points into the lead are going to go for Altruist right here. Hacks basically by themselves with this Kraken, which is the least helpful way to use a Kraken, and Gibbons is going to send them back to their spawn for free as they cross the halfway mark here. So 11'8" Bridge, we're not used to seeing them in this defensive position at Robo Ramen, and now they're using the Tint Shield with the Zukas. That gets eliminated as well. Now they're just trying to funnel to make something happen because they don't have a lot of time to work with. They do take care of the Inzap and the Dreadringer, so no reslider that they're going to have to deal with. But it's basically the Tint versus the World, and the World is going to win.
Yeah, and you have to go against this paint-heavy comp. You don't have people in place.
Why'd you fall?
But wait, they're so close to
Why'd
getting
you
it.
fall?
Oh my gosh. 11'8" Bridge getting so lucky there, or manifesting some kind of miracle. They're still in it. They still got plenty of time. You got 3 minutes on the clock. You know, your opponent's got all the way down to 1, but you know, in any mode, and especially Splat Zones, you're playing for that knockout. You have to knock it out at this point, but so many Zones matches end in a knockout. You know, we just need a really, really good hold here. If we can get numbers on them and set up in really strong places, especially with the Tent Shield, and with the tent that has Zuka, make sure that you have plenty of paint down for this team. I think it has been a little bit of a struggle right now. Just there's so much paint coming out from Altruist, and that's not even great for Splat Zones, obviously an objective, of course, but great for maintaining control. It's been so difficult for 11'8" Bridge to get through, and it's looking really dicey now.
Hacks had an opportunity, got a 2-for-1 trade, but the problem is they aren't able to cap zone on top of it. Hacks trying to make one more hero play to keep their team alive in this one, and it's not going to happen. Here comes the Kraken, though. Can they do something onto the zone? They can't stall it out in time. It's still turned blue after the time went out. Little Judd, can we go to the monitor? I think 11'8" Bridge should have a little bit of time left on the clock there. Instead, Altruist by frames completes the KO. Almost let it slip away, but they bounce back and become the second team all weekend long to take a dub against 11'8" Bridge, and